Hello and welcome everyone to another cast in Alchemy League. This one comes from Cuprum Division 2. We have Hans77 versus Zalto. Hans77 is he's probably in the upper 1300s, if I would guess, lower 1400s as estimated by our seeding program. I don't have it in front of me. And Zalto, we don't really have a very good idea of where he is. He had played, I think, 6 1v1s. Hey, X Factor, welcome. He had played 6 1v1s by the time that Alchemy League started, and he had won 5 of them. So, therefore, Zalto was one of the first people to sign up for Alchemy League. He was really interested, and when he initially signed up, I messaged him saying that he couldn't play, because we just don't have a good idea of where he's at. And he said, "All right, that's fine. I understand." You know, he's real nice about it. But we needed some more players at this level, and I got this program working. And based on the game history that he was able to develop, I think he started playing 1v1s, but he wasn't able to play nearly enough by the time Alchemy League started to be eligible for prize money. X Factor says, I got an extra mic laying around. Can I send your way? Wait a second. Oh, you heard that I might be in the market for one? Well, what is your own opinion? Do you think that my microphone has failed? So, anyway, so Zalto has agreed to play in Alchemy League without any prize money. He's not eligible for prize money. He is here just for fun. He wanted to play for fun. He was one of the first people to sign up, but unfortunately, we can't really prove that he belongs in this division. So therefore, even if he goes through and he's smurfing and he completely wrecks everybody, he's not going to be winning any prize money, and he's not going to be moving on to the single elimination tournament. Do you enjoy the streams you'd like to support? Well, it will not be necessary to send me a replacement microphone yet. I haven't exhausted all of my options. I potentially have the option to maybe turn up the audio bitrate on my microphone to improve the quality of the audio, but I turned it down as much as possible because I was messing with some settings and I wanted to turn up the video frame rate so that my presentations wouldn't look like a slideshow. So anyway, so that's Zalto's story. This is the first that we see of Zalto in Alchemy League. His opponent couldn't play in the first round, so he either got an admin win or they're going to do a makeup session later. I'm not exactly sure. But for those of you who are new and haven't seen Zalto in action, that's the story here. Now on to the actual match itself. The first map is Rapa Nui. It was developed by a friend of mine called Cookie Pirate. This is an aggressive map. I think water is very important on this map, given the extra fish. There's lots of fish, and we have limited wood as well. So it's actually sort of interesting. We sometimes see the players go all in sort of land aggression, and we see them try to take control of as much wood as possible. I think usually the game is over before then. Somebody normally sends a bunch of fire ships around and sinks some fishing ships as well. So it'll be interesting to see what choice of strategy is present here. Zalto is playing as the Saracens, and Hans is playing as the Goths. Now we've seen a lot of infantry pushes on this map, most notably, from my memory, we had Jasuni do this crazy, a couple of actually crazy Roman man-at-arms pushes, or at least in the last time Jasuni did this man-at-arms push. So we'll see. Maybe it could be effective. It is rather small. There's not a lot of space for maneuvers, so I think infantry could work pretty well here. We could also see some monk action. Remember, guys, that this tournament is standard. Yeah, the Funny Liquid set was great, too. It was fun watching Funny Liquid in action. I'm really glad that he signed up for the tournament. I was worried because he joined the Discord when we first announced that we were doing Alchemy League, and then he left, like a few days before Alchemy League, the final details were released, and I was worried that he saw the draft handbook and didn't like what he saw and then left. but I think he might have just left by accident because he came back. The Otter one, I think the Otter one really pushed him to play because the Otter one likes to practice against Funny Liquid. They're both, you know, these guys have known each other for a very long time. These are different players, though. Han77 is not, to my knowledge, affiliated with the IU, but I think Zalto is, actually. I think these guys are both, to my knowledge, European. Hans is from Germany, and if you can believe that, and Zalto is from Norway. So they're both on their way up to the feudal age. Zalto's going to be up first. Zalto has no handicap. He doesn't need it. Everybody else that's prize ineligible has handicap, but according to Zalto, based on his win rate and based on what limited knowledge we had of his games, he's 1300s somewhere, is what our amazing little computer program cooked up. Yep, that's true. And we stole X Factor from that group. I feel kind of bad, but then again, we're kind of really proud to have X Factor in our group. I don't necessarily know if you really stole it. The IU isn't really a clan. They're just kind of a fun group. Yeah, I would put it that way. They do a lot of free-for-all. Zalto with the double ranges, I'm assuming. So he is going to be going archers here. So a little bit of a... I don't think he's going to be able to get those archers out very quickly. He needed to be on gold a little bit sooner. Usually when you're doing like a 22 pop archer build or a 23 pop archer build, you build an archery range on your gold, and you got 3 villagers on gold while you're going up. So, but the plan is archers from Zalto, and that's important information. He has not built a dock at all, and Hans has docked. So docking is really good on this map. I made the mistake of not docking in my set against Warlion, and he punished it severely. I still think I'd like to experiment with not docking, but there's a lot of water in Alchemy League maps. Just because people think water is pretty, I guess. People think water is pretty, so that forces us to have water in the maps, and that means that there's a lot of naval action. So Hans has built a forward dock here. He's going to be pretty disappointed. He's going to get up here and see that Zalto has not docked at all. Oh no, Zalto building a market. What is with that? Maybe he's going to sell some resources and make some archers. Hans with 32 economy to Zalto's 26, probably due to having some fishing ships. He's got 3 here. Here's a 4th, and then I don't know. I can't find him. Maybe he's got more villagers, but that seems unlikely to me. He's got 29 according to this. So Zalto with a little bit of town center idle time. I've been casting, okay, he is on gold. I would go on this gold, and here's why. If you are not docking at all, let's see, actually, does Zalto know that his opponent has gone Navy? Probably not, but you could probably assume that his opponent would go Navy. If your opponent gets some galleys over here, this could irritate the gold mining. So why not take your safe gold? Okay, he is building a mining camp on his safe gold. Zalto, he doesn't play 1v1s, but I think he plays some team games. So we just tried to estimate his elo. But we got to set up some kind of rule, because if somebody played 1v1 6 years ago and then stopped, and they've played a million team games since then, they're probably going to be really good, but we're not really going to have a good sense of where they are. But with Zalto, thankfully, his 1v1s were recent. So therefore, the information was of the utmost relevance. Like this wasn't somebody whose 1v1s we're considering from a very long time ago. So we got to think of a smarter way of maybe setting those rules. And theoretically, I should be able to sharpen my pencil and actually perform statistical analysis and be able to come up with like confidence intervals, you know, like margins of error for depending on how many games they have and what their win rate is, and track their win rate over time to see if they're smurfing. These are all options for big data that we have. We got an interesting stable from Hans. What is Hans doing? He went Navy, and there's nothing there, so he's kind of disappointed. And Zalto is in here with archers, and he's not I mean, Hans built a tower, so I guess Hans is okay. Okay, Hans is going up to the castle age, and your humble blind caster simply didn't see it. And Hans is also going on stone. He's built a couple of towers. This is a bad tower. It doesn't defend anything. What does this tower do? The archers could stand here and deny the berries. This gold is not needed because this tower is defending this gold, and the archers can camp the base of it. So Hans 77 coming over here and he's fighting off these archers with villagers. This tower did not do anything for him. So we have Castle Age now from Hans 77. I wonder if we're going to see, we see a scout cavalry. So it goes Castle Age and he's not even going to make a knight. He's making scouts. Oh, okay, he's trying to, what? Zalto calls the GG. So Hans is victorious. Zalto maybe realizing that he's behind economically. This was not GG yet. He could have maybe walled off his own base, like built a stone wall here to here, and maybe built a tower on his wood, and slowly got and could have bought his way up to Castle Age. So I don't think this was necessarily over. But with Hans being in Castle Age, it would be pretty easy for him to pick up this relic from Zalto's merchant that was being dropped. Yeah, that's a thing in this map. Merchants drop relics. It's kind of weird, but it's sort of fun at the same time. So I resolved that we would try that. Okay, so we've got a game down. Hans has been victorious. Zalto testing the waters here, seeing what he's up against. And so now we're going to go on to the next map, which is Wasteland. So this is Zalto's home map. He has picked Magyars for it. And Hans has picked Koreans. I do not understand the Koreans pick on this one at all. Actually, I kind of do. Maybe Hans wants to tower rush Zalto. He figures, look at how big these wood lines are and how few of them there are. You know, just a few towers, maybe like a tower on this, a tower here, and a tower here, and I could almost completely deny somebody's wood. There's not a lot of wood on this map. There's little patches of forest, I guess, around the outside. Some bonus resources if you don't have the map control in the center. Can maybe still take wood out here. But yeah, it's inspired by Desert Voids, just this big open area. There's nothing there. I mean, there might be a few rocks, some gold, some stone, etc. Zalto coming forward, he's looking for Hans. He's going to find some berries up here. And it's not the scout, though. I would think that you would maybe try to lame with the scout. Maybe that's what he's doing. So he explores, he finds a wood line. Hans is taking a sheep. You get an extra boar on this map, and by boar I mean elephant or rhino. And technically they have more food. They have 400 food in them each instead of 340. So that makes scouts builds pretty practical, I think, on this map. But the downside to going scouts is that the wood lines are so huge, and it's kind of easy to wall. Easier, I think, than traditional Arabia. Like, look at the size of this wood line right here. You build what, 10 tiles of palisade here, and 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 you've essentially walled to your town center. You've got all this wood and this gold and all that stuff secured. So it's quite nice. We've seen some good games. Hans doing the tricky elephant shoot from the town center maneuver. I like it. We've seen some good games on this map. This is one of the more popular maps. Maybe the reason that Zalto chose this map is because it has no water on it. And he despises water. He didn't go water last time. Water is confusing. I don't blame him. I don't like water. Oh, Zalto finding some sheep. He's laming some sheep and he's sending them to this side of the map. He's going home the long way. And he found his sheep here too. Hans is going to see Zalto's boar. Is he going to go for the lame? Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I was looking here at the right time. Yes, he is going to go for the lame. See if he gets it. Laming boar is very difficult, but because you can set the waypoints, maybe it's a little bit easier. But Hans is going to have to be careful here not to lose his scout. So he's getting a little bit of revenge at Zalto for taking his sheep. And you see that Hans hasn't started bringing in his rhinoceros because he's got this boar coming in instead. And so he's got to pay attention to this. And he is keeping his town center working, though. So that's good. Scout coming in. He is going. It appears he's going to succeed at this, at laming this elephant. Here she comes. Starts running away. And yep, the elephant is going to go down. So Hans has successfully stolen Zalto's elephant. Zalto stole a couple of Hans's sheep, though. It's still not a fair trade, though. It's 400 food taken away from Zalto, but Zalto gained 200 food from the 2 sheep that he stole. So he's only down 200 food as opposed to 400 food. So that's why it pays to lame, boys, because you never know when you're going to get lamed. So in terms of idle town center time, I think this is something that Zalto could work on. He's got 42 seconds of idle town center time, and that's equivalent to almost 2 villagers. A villager is created in 25 seconds. So he's almost 2 villagers behind Hans. And that may not sound like a lot, but a villager at the beginning of the game, especially this early in the game, can collect thousands of resources over the course of the game. So it makes a huge difference, because 1,000 resources is a big ball of archers, or it's a group of 15 knights or something. So it makes a big deal. Hans has started a wall off here as Koreans. Okay, he is on his way up to the feudal age with 22 pop. And Zalto is getting loomed now, and then he's probably going to click up to the feudal age after that. So I was expecting a tower rush from Hans. Oh, maybe we'll still get one. He's got a mining camp going up on his stone, and he's making militia. Yes! Yes! I wanted to see man-at-arms and towers on this map, and it looks like we're going to get it now. Except Hans doesn't have anything on gold, which he is going to need. So maybe it's some sort of strange drush type thing. Okay, he's taking gold now. Wondering what's up with that. This lady's going to drop the gold off at the mining camp so he can afford another militia. So maybe it's a drush fast castle. Oh no, villagers are coming forward. Okay, so he's going to commit to building towers. What does Hans know about Zalto's... He's almost up to the feudal age. What does he know about Zalto's base? Let's take a look. Okay, so he knows where the wood line is. That's really what you need to know. He's got his Bactrian camel here. So he knows Zalto is walling off something like this. Zalto is not yet feudal age. Hans is going to tower the berries. Okay. He's going to tower the berries. He's got a couple militia here telling the scout to go away. And the villagers are going to come forward. If Zalto is paying attention, he's going to see it. And he's sending villagers this way. What is this? Okay. I'm not sure if he saw those villagers immediately when they came in. Hans is going to wall around this tower too so that Zalto cannot shank it down with his villagers. And he's going to be forced to evacuate these berries fully. He wasn't really on them very much anyway. Zalto wants to make scouts. He's Magyars. It makes sense. He's going to build this stable here, and he's going to try and make scouts out of it. But given that he's been taken off of berries and he's been lamed, he's going to have a hard time affording everything that he wants to do. Okay, we got some militia and a spearman working on this. So Hans has not invested in man-at-arms. He made a couple militia and a spearman, and to him that's sufficient here. Doesn't want to go too far into it. Zalto has made a scout. He's got another scout in addition to his starting scout. He's built a blacksmith because scouts like blacksmith upgrades, although he hasn't been able to afford anything yet. This looks like a tech chariot build. These look like tech chariot berries, except Zalto is not in Imperial Age. But I can... it's sort of embarrassing to admit this, but probably, I don't want to say the majority of my games, but probably 30 to 40% of my games, when Tech Chariot is in Imperial Age, he still has uneaten berries. It's pretty embarrassing. to get that far and just not have finished your berries because somebody's pressured you and you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to give this up. Who needs military before Castle Age anyway? So we have another tower coming. I feel like these towers would be a lot more effective if they were on the wood line. Because Zalto, I don't think he had any farms here. Maybe he had a couple. But the berries were already denied. Okay, so Hans finishing the wall off there. Is he going to wall in this tower too? Zalto isn't too bothered by it. He's got his scouts looking for damage. Scouts. Okay, and Hans wants to finish this wall off here. Magyar scouts are going to get in. And they get +1 free damage. Not free, but they get forging for free. Okay, so Zalto is in. He's dealt some damage to that villager. He needs to finish this lady off. Loop around this way and just finish her off. Doesn't matter if the scouts die. If he gets 1 villager, I think it's worth it. Given 3 scouts. Otherwise, Hans is just going to quick wall everywhere. Zalto looking around. There's some spearmen in here, which he's trying to avoid. He picks on some villagers under the berries, but I think his best bet was this lady right here. Okay, no, he's in on this wood line. Is he going to get one? No, there's too many spearmen. He has to withdraw. He's going to leave, and Hans is going to say, all right, that's fine with me. And he's going to finish walling them out. Meanwhile, Hans is continuing the tower rush. The tower is creeping toward the wood line. Zalto has sort of a... I don't like this tower at all. This tower is in the same place as this tower. And the base of this tower is already covered by this tower. So why would you build one right here? I would come around. I know it's a long walk, but I would come around and I would tower like right here. It's a better tower. Oh, Zalto is going to kill some of Hans's villagers. This villager goes down, and it is in Zalto's base. So Hans sent that villager to its death. The other one hiding in this tower here. Zalto continuing to throw down farms. He's got a lot of extra wood. And I think anybody in this... It's very easy in this situation to have extra wood. Because you're being pressured. Because, you know, you're not necessarily thinking about, oh, you know, I better make sure I balance my eco properly. You're thinking about, how do I not die? How do I avoid having all of my villagers butchered? Okay, so Zalto actually with the score lead over Hans probably has a lot to do with these farms on Hans's crazy tower rush here. Hans has a lot of extra wood himself. It seems like Zalto is doing a better job of spending his resources now. Zalto building a market to help rebalance the economy too. I think he's going to try to get up to the Castle Age and make knights. That's what I would do in his situation. I would make knights and I would clear this up. I would also wall this off here, because there's nothing stopping Hans's stuff from just coming all around here and in the back through this direction. But Hans doesn't really seem to be that curious. He's just continuing these towers. He's got a bunch of towers. They're denying a fair bit of wood. They're going to deny this wood here. I guess it's going to be big. And then Zalto's only going to have this small patch and this small patch right here. So what's going on over here? Well, Hans is completely walled. This map is easy to wall. You could potentially get in with scouts if the build is fast enough, but now that it's completely walled off, Zalto is going to do no more damage here. He is going to be able to click up the Castle Age very soon, though. Hans has already used the market, I think, to get up. So yeah, he's got a market right here. So Hans is already on his way up. And the thing about Koreans is that in 2 minutes' time, these watchtowers are all going to upgrade to guard towers. Koreans get those upgrades for free. I feel that Zalto really should just bite the bullet and try to stop this as much as possible. Like, he's wandering around out here with scouts and such, but he should be mindful. I know these towers aren't really hurting him right now, but they're going to hurt him later. So why not use your scouts to deny as much of this as possible? There's 2 militia here that could be killed. I mean, this villager should not be able to build this tower. There should be like scouts patrolling and preventing her from moving up and placing these foundations. Hans has sent more villagers to help him build towers faster. Another tower is going to go up. Zalto could delete this wall segment and like move back here and build another town center down here, and that could be pretty wise. But he needs to be very careful because he can find that he's unable to take resources. This tower is going to deny his other stone. He has a stone forward like this. He's getting bloodlines now. And he is counter towering, but that's not going to work against Koreans because in 4 seconds it's going to be a guard tower. And guard towers are very effective against watchtowers. Yeah, so he's got his scouts here now. They should have been there a long time ago. And then what do you do if you're Zalto? I think you make knights and you make rams. So you maybe build a siege workshop right here. You delete this. You build a lumber camp back here, and you make a siege workshop here, and you mass up like 6 knights with armor and a couple of rams, and you start to try to push this back. That's what he has to do. I'm not really sure what's going on with the discussion here. Generally, you don't tell somebody when it's time to resign. But maybe Zalto said, I want to resign, and Hans was like, no, it's not over yet. I would assume that's what happened, because it's not over yet. Zalto's behind. He's in a tough spot, but he's got resources. His gold is safe for now. He can build a siege workshop. Okay, yep, that's good. He's got some villagers outside. Okay, he sent them out here, and yep, he's building a lumber camp here. This is a good lumber camp. He should just delete this wall, though. He should recognize his opponent has no mobile units. This is a mistake, though. Cavalry archers, not a good idea. He has a problem. This is a big problem. Cavalry archers are not going to help him with this. He needs to make units that will kill towers, and cavalry archers are not it. Zalto, he just resigns. Too bad. All right, so Hans takes the second game, and we'll see what happens. He was building a defensive castle. It wasn't good, but Zalto, I think, with a little bit of experience on the custom maps, I think he'll improve greatly. I think he has the potential to do very well in the league. Some strange choices is all. So with that, we'll move on to the next game. Just give me a sec here. All right, I'm back. Let's go on to the next game. So Zalto selects the next map of Gichigume. The person that gets to select the map is whoever was defeated in the previous game. So Wasteland was made by BP Dredge. This map was made by yours truly. All of the maps for Alchemy League are made from the community. Custom maps. Zalto has selected Malians, and Hans77 has selected Aztecs, which is pretty interesting. Hans77 building a town center here, and Zalto building a town center here. I like Zalto's town center a little bit better. It's on the north of a woodline. He's got a nearby gold, but I guess Hans has a nearby stone. So you start with a little bit of extra wood on this map, if I recall correctly. But Zalto, it looks like, started building something and then canceled it. Look at this, though. Their docks are right next to each other. Oh, boy. Zalto is doing this trick where you harvest the goose, and then I think he's doing the trick anyway. And then you right-click on the fish to turn it into fish. What is Hans doing? He's trying to wall in Zalto's villager, but Zalto is not having any of it. Zalto converting that meat into fish so that he can drop it off at the dock. But first he's going to fight Hans, I guess. Or Hans wants some of the... I don't really know what's happening here. Okay, Zalto just walls him out. Zalto is on this side, and Hans is on this side. but their docks are right next to each other. There's swells on Gichigume, characterized by, not characterized by, but it's from elevation. So what do? We've seen mullions on Gichigume before. Their buildings cost less wood. They're chosen, I think, because they're generally a good nomad civilization. Persians are globally banned for the duration of the tournament. So apart from choosing Spanish or Malians, it's a generic nomad civilization. And this is kind of a nomad map. This map really honestly would play a lot like Nomad in many respects. I mean, you got a big body of water here. The difference is that people are you have a little bit better of an idea. It's like a reconfiguration of Nomad. Instead of an island, the water is large and it's a big lake and it's surrounded by land. So, in many ways you could look at this as Nomad essentially. Nomad with a different configuration. Maybe a little bit easier to get at people's fish. But the coastline also has a little bit more character, I think. Maybe some sheltered bays that might be easier to protect in many respects. I think if I were to modify this map, I would probably do it so that there are concentrated shoals of fish, so that maybe they're a little bit easier to defend in a relatively large area of the lake. Like you could build towers and stuff to defend your fish a little bit better, because right now it's all just scattered across the lake. And I think that's what I will do after Alchemy League Season 1 is concluded. Zelto is fishing here. He doesn't want to have to think about Hans. And Hans has he's built the wall, and he's taken a little bit of Zelto's deer, and now he's walking back to his town center. He's keeping his town center active. It looks like Hans has had a rough economy. Zelto actually with an advantage here, at least for now. It can be hard to keep your town center working in Nomad, and he has over a minute of town center idle time. So this is almost 3 villagers right here, and this is almost 2 villagers worth of idle time that they're behind. Hans with the 3 fishing ships and Zelto with 2. Note that Aztecs carry more. The villagers carry +3. So you guys saw that villager walking into the town center to drop off some wood. He's carrying 13 wood. See how she's carrying 13 and then drops it off. So they can carry a little bit more resources. That might be why Hans picked them. The other reason is because he could be planning for a monk rush, which would be a lot of fun. I think monk rushes will be very effective on this map because there's not a lot of space to fight over. The battle occurs in sort of this limited area here in between the 2 players, and monks are slow units, but they've got long range. They're perfect for those kinds of situations. So maybe we'll see a monk rush out of Hans. Maybe not. All right, Zalto coming out this way. What's he doing? All right, he's going to mill the deer. He's going to mill the ibex, actually. They're ibex. They're not deer. And he's going to find some cows so he can eat those. That'll be handy. But he's probably going to send them back to his town center. Yeah, this looks like Tech Cherry Eco right here. Both players are having a hard time keeping food coming in, keeping those town centers working. They're right next to each other. They're even sharing the fish, which is pretty adorable. Okay, Hans finds Zelto's town center. It could have been a lot worse, though. He could have lost the villager to it. But I guess he's just wandering around just to figure out where his opponent is. Is this a sneak villager? Could that be what this is? I'm not really sure what he's doing. Let's take a look at his point of view and see what he sees. He's just kind of scouting. Maybe he's looking for more food. There are a couple of ponds here. They sometimes have fish in them like this. Yeah, he's just looking for a good place to wall off. So this tells me that Hans is not planning any kind of feudal land aggression. That if he is aggressive in feudal age, it will be through water. And it makes a ton of sense to be aggressive on water in feudal age in this case because the docks are so close together. I wish that in Age of Empires you could make it so that fishing ships could build docks. I think that would be pretty fun. I think that was a great feature in Age of Mythology. Instead of giving villagers the ability to drop fish off at a dock, you should give fishing ships the ability to just build more docks. That would make them very useful in my judgment. It's better than giving villagers the ability to drop off fish at docks because it's so convenient, right? You could come over here with a fishing ship and you could take fish over here and it would be a lot easier and your opponent may never know about it. There aren't a lot of fish in these shoals. They've only got 150 in them, so actually. So you might look at this and say, "Oh, wow, that's a big lake. There's lots of fish in it." But really it's only 7,000 fish total. So I think it's less than the contents of one pond in 4 lakes, to give you guys an idea of the amount of fish. Okay, Hans coming over here for some deer. I don't think he's going to mill this. He might. He's finishing his wall off. This is a good wall off. I think my big mistake when playing this map was not walling off. But remember that your opponent can also build a transport ship and they can land you. So Zalto has hit the feudal age. Is he going to make fire galleys? Yes, he is. That's very smart. Hans is on his way up to the feudal age as well, but he's got about a minute and a half to get there. But Hans is building additional docks, so Hans is very serious about winning water. He's going to be behind on fire ships, or fire galleys, I should say. He has the ability to produce them faster once he gets up, though. So Zalto should build another dock if he wants to contest water. This is not sufficient. So we have a yeah, I wouldn't bother with that. I would find where he's taking fish. This is already essentially dead because it's not working. So he's still making fire galleys, and in a few more seconds Hans will be able to make 3 fire galleys at the same time. Zalto disrupting Hans's fishing economy for now, but Hans is going to retaliate pretty soon. We've got a fire galley, and another fire galley, so he's going to be able to pump out 3 fire galleys at a time, and Zalto will be outmatched. Hans is sending his fish to the far corners of the lake because he knows that all he's got to do is just keep it alive and survive until he can win water. He doesn't need to be taking fish right now. There are bonus resources along the edge of the map. There's more gold and stone here. 3,000 gold and 700 stone. Whereas these piles are normal and they aren't that big. So it's nice if players want to collect gold and stone this way. It kind of makes water a little bit more powerful, I think. And this might be a fundamental problem with the map, is that maybe water is just too important. It's not always the case that winning water wins you the game on Gichigume, but it very often does. There's hill advantages too. Now Zalto, he's not going to be able to win this. Let's take a look. He knows that his opponent has 3 docks too, so he must just be buying himself some time until he can click up to the Castle Age and do his thing. So the ponds in the upland of Wisconsin here, these are not dockable. So if you pick Malay, you can't do like the fish traps. They have no beach. So it's beachless water here. Okay, Zalto's last fire ship goes down, and the rest of his fish will follow shortly afterward. But he's on his way up to Castle Age. Whereas Hans is not really close, but he'll probably be able to catch up soon. Sending a villager around here. I'm wondering if he's going to build more docks around the perimeter of the lake. We'll see. So Hans getting horse collar and stone mining, so he's going to invest into farms for his food source, which is a good idea. And he's got 6 on stone, So he's probably thinking about a castle. Maybe he'll make Gabetos. We've seen a lot of Gabeto action on this map. I don't know. I don't think the Gabetos were very effective in the context that we saw them. My recollection is seeing them against Japanese, and Japanese samurai just completely wreck Gabetos. In this case, I don't think Gabetos would be too much better. If we're talking about a fight between unique units, Jaguar warriors just do tons of bonus damage against infantry, and Gabetos are considered infantry. So therefore, if Jaguar warriors, with their spiky mahojitos or whatever they are, if they got anywhere near Gabetos, they would just shred them. So I think compared to the other civilizations that could be chosen for this map, I think Malians have an inferior unique unit. So Hans clearing Zalto off of water. He gets Town Watch before clicking up. He will surely be able to click up as soon as he finishes this blacksmith. He wants to click up. He's waiting to click up. Actually, he might have... Okay, he's making a villager. Yo, Cookie Pirate, welcome. Alright, so Zalto is ready to build his castle. He's building it here. This is a good castle. I think it could be more forward, but he's probably wary of Hans. He thinks maybe Hans will have some military that can stop this when all of Hans's military is on the water. Hans has built another dock over here. I like this dock. I think this is a good dock. This dock will make it so that even if Zalto comes back on water or makes sneaky fires, he'll only be able to, like, he knows about these docks, maybe he'll only kill half of Hans's fish. This is a beautiful map. Aw, thanks, Cookie Pirate. So, are we going to see Gabetos? Yes, we are. Zalto is making Gabetos, and the Gabetos will probably attack this house, and they'll try to get in this way. Hans is building stone walls. I think this is a pretty silly stone wall, though. Maybe he assumes that his opponent can walk over this, but all you got to do is just stone wall to this and stone wall here. And you're stonewalling the same thing for half the price. He's built double barracks. So, eagles, I guess? No, Hans can afford, he can afford a castle himself as soon as he gets castle age in about 45 seconds. So, I'm not really sure why the double barracks. It seems like there's more efficient ways to wall this off, so it tells me he does wish to make infantry. But I don't think eagles make a lot of sense here. I think Gabetos are good against eagles. They're generally inferior to other swordsmen. They have more pierce armor. Oh, here come the Gabetos. The Gabetos are going to just rush in, I think. They're going to take advantage of this unloaded town center. Okay. Hans wants to build a castle here. The Gabetos rush through. They don't have a lot of health, but they don't really need it. Hans is not making any ranged units, and the Gabetos could probably kite melee units. So Zalto will have to pay attention. He gets one villager. He's about to get a second. So he's killing villagers. So this is a really good win for Zalto. He needs this. He's behind in villagers. These ladies throwing swords. And he's killed 4 villagers with these 2 Gabetos that have probably less than half the health of a single Gabeto, which is pretty funny, but also frustrating if you are Hans. So Zalto has made another Gabeto, but she's not going to be able to get through here because there's a castle blocking this opening. So Zalto is going to make rams maybe instead. He's building a siege workshop. I think all that Hans needs to do is like go Imperial Age, sell all of his wood, sell the rest of his stone, idle the town center for a few seconds, and click Imp, and then go into monks and trebuchets, and Zalto will be pretty much toast. But just because that's what Tech Chariot would do doesn't mean it's the right thing to do for this map. Oh, okay, we do have a couple of eagles here. Eagles sacrifice melee toughness or might in exchange for might against ranged units. So eagles are not a very effective or efficient answer to melee units. They are going to wipe up these Gabetos pretty decisively, though, because the Gabetos had very little health left. But in general, if you're going against melee units, you do not want to make eagles. You want to make jags. Jags or pikes. Or monks. But monks aside, like if you need a unit that can actually deal damage, you want to make jaguars or halbs. Not halbs. Aztec don't get halb, but pikemen. You know what I mean. What do we got over here? Okay, so we do indeed have an attempted sneaky dock from Zalto. He wants to build a dock there to get back on water. Of course, Hans is going to spot it. He's patrolling this area. So we don't see where the villager's going to come from. Zalto's built some more stuff. I don't see the villager that's going to build that. Maybe he put that down a while ago and then he changed his mind and he forgot to cancel the foundation. So these Cabetos are working on this mining camp, and Zalto is working on this blacksmith as well, with his mangonel slowly dealing damage to it. So he's hurting Hans. Hans is going to have to repair this or replace the blacksmith. He's not really reacting to it. He's massing up some eagles, which I don't agree with. He's also building a monastery. Guys, remember that standard victory is enabled for Alchemy League. So theoretically, if he gets all the relics, he could win a relic victory. But that's unlikely because Zalto has a relic here in his base, at least one. And there's probably another one cooking around here somewhere too. Nope, Zalto got it. So Zalto got one relic. Does he know about this? Yes, he does. So he could go and get that relic if he wanted to. Zalto actually with a decent amount of map control, and he is coming in with the Cabetos. And he's on Hans's stone now. Hans is going to have to react to this. He doesn't want to. He doesn't have the eagles for it. But Zalto being a big nuisance with these Cabetos. The blacksmith went down. So if you're Zalto, here's what you do. You run back here. You just keep doing the damage. There's no reason to return and to attack this house. Like, there is never enough damage. You should get in here and you should commit war crimes. You need every advantage you can get, and Hans already has a big advantage in economy. Look at him; he's even built fishing traps here, fish traps here, I should say. He's housed. So this right here is a big asset to Hans's economy. But Zalto is on his way up to Imp first. I guess he's built enough farms, conserved enough food that he can click up to Imperial Age and tread this castle down. Okay, there are monks here. Maybe Hans will use the monks to defend against the Cabetos. There aren't that many monks though, so he might need a few more. Geneva Convention has denounced your channel. Yeah, probably. Denounce Age of Empires in general. So he's going to take the fight with the help of some monks. And he does get a couple of conversions here. And these Cabetos withdraw. They are very effective against the eagles, as you can see. They're going to throw their swords. And this lady is going to go down eventually. Alright, and then Zalto's here on the wood line, causing havoc. Advocating for war crimes? Well, war crimes are how you win Age of Empires, unfortunately. It's pretty much the only way. And I say this as a guy that loves his monk rushes and loves the path of healing. That's not the path that's meta right now. The meta path is the path of war crimes, making hussars, killing as many villagers as quickly as possible. So Hans is going to build another castle over here to sort of button up his right flank, this lakeside flank that Zalto has been getting into his town with. So Zalto is imp. He's got a lot of resources. What's he doing with it? He's making trebuchets. I don't really think he's spending his resources. He should be. Okay, he has collected 3 relics. Did he build this dock? No, he still has not built the dock. Hans has walled him off from this. So Zalto is now going to kind of struggle to get back here and take these resources. Trebuchet has come out. Come on, Zalto. Come on, man. Spend your resources. Could you imagine if Zalto were spending his resources? Hans would be in big trouble. But the push is just not fast enough. He should have he should already have 3 barracks or 4 barracks here. He should be getting like champion upgrade right now. That would really help him out. He's making more Gabedos. He needs to use his castle to make trebuchets. I do understand his love of Gabedos though, but yeah, people just love Gabedos on this map. There's not really much more I can say than that. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go Gabedos. Okay, and Hans going into Eagle Warrior. Oh, he only had Eagle Scouts, and he's getting Careening too. There's not really a need to get Dock Technologies because his opponent has given up water. This castle is being worked on by these trebuchets. Remember, guys, the Aztecs do not really get any bonuses to improve the health of their castles. I'm not even sure that they get hoardings. I'd have to double check. So Zalto is teching into Elite Gabedos. He doesn't have the stone to make Gabedos from 2. He needs another castle. If he's serious about Gabedos, which, to be fair, they have worked for him before, he needs to buy 100 stone, build another castle, and start massing Gabedos from 2 castles. Because 1 castle is just not enough. So Hans is Imperial Age. He's building trebuchets as well. He's building a trebuchet from each castle. And because Hans has 2 castles, he's going to be able to make trebuchets faster than Zalto. So Zalto might take this castle down, though. These trebuchets have been working on it for a while, and Hans is kind of running out of stone. He can't really take that stone very efficiently. All right, so Zalto with a 4th trebuchet in production. He's got a bunch of Gabedos. Hans has 2 trebuchets. Okay, Hans loses that town center. And Zalto appears to be in command of the game right now. Another lumber camp coming down for Hans. He is losing ground. Zalto going to pack his trebuchets and move forward. I think Hans would be just so far ahead if he were making Jaguars, but he's making Eagles, strangely, instead. He's making Eagles, and he's making a lot of economy on water. Okay, here's a second castle from Zalto. I like this castle, and here's why. Ordinarily, this would be a very dumb castle because it's within range of opponent cannon ships, but Hans doesn't get cannon ships. He's Aztecs. In fact, I don't even think he gets Dromons, although that would be pretty cool. Zalto moves forward with the trebs, but thinks better of it, considering that there are enemy trebuchets here. Now, these Gabedos might be able to get close enough to snipe some trebuchets, but Zalto is going to need more of them. He's currently getting conscription, and he's got a couple mangonels going forward. Okay, all right, so the plan is to damage or kill these trebuchets and get them to withdraw. These Gabedos have decent range, too. We got Eagles coming forward, and these Gabedos are going to work on the Eagles, presumably. These are Eagle Warriors. They are not Elite Eagle Warriors. And the Gabedos just need to kind of fight this. The Gabedos are going to win here. Yeah, they clean up the Eagles, and Hans is pulling back his trebuchets now. He lost... I don't think he lost any, actually. He came very close to losing 1. But Zalto has all the resources in the world. He needs to push. He needs to be making military buildings. He needs to be making military. Just giving Hans the time to do what he wants. Hans has Elite Eagle Warrior now. He has not gotten Garland. He's not gotten Garland Wars, I should say. He's building more barracks. He's building a university back here. And of course, he's got a ton of stuff on water. Is he... Okay, he is mining the gold around the lake. The trebuchets are moving forward. Zalto wants to get kind of a hill advantage against the castle, but there's trees in the way. So the trebuchets are just sort of doing their best to navigate this and end up just building here. These Gabedos need to move forward. Maybe destroy the trebs. Okay, Zalto sees this. I think that's what he's going for. I think he's coming around this way. But he has to be careful that these eagles don't savage his own trebuchets. Here come the eagles. Hans being cautious with the eagles. They're just going to come and snipe trebuchets. And I think this is a mistake for Zalto to be out of position like this. He's doing non-value activity like throwing at a monk that wasn't even trying to convert everything, and he's going to lose all of his trebs. Except this one, apparently. Armor comes in for Hans, and he's also taking into Arbalister. He needs an answer to these Gabetos. He's probably forgotten about Jaguar Warriors. These Eagles go down. So here's Zalto. All that time that he spent making these trebuchets for the castle, and it's wasted because of some Eagles and taking a bad fight. Zalto could go into Rams, potentially. His opponent has lots of trebuchets. The Rams could charge the base of the trebuchets and kill them pretty easily. He could garrison the Gabetos in them. The Gabetos are being shot at by the trebuchets. Okay, there's Arbs here. I see, stuff like this. Like, I see fancy Gabeto micro. But that's not really what Zalto needs to be doing right now from a 500-foot perspective. Micro is probably among the least important. I know the pros make it look like the most important because at their level everything else is equal except for the micro. I do appreciate that Zalto is pulling back though and giving Hans the opportunity to make a mistake and move his trebuchets forward to siege his castle. I think that's very, very important. So they're actually about to even up now. Hey Hans, welcome. We were just picking on you for sending your trebs forward and evening the score here with Zalto. Alright, so now both players have lost their trebuchets needlessly to opposing infantry. And we're going to see if Hans is able to finish off Zalto with Arb instead of Eagle. Yeah, Eagle did not work out. We assume that Hans forgot about Jaguar Warriors. Jaguar Warriors would absolutely wreck Gabetos, given that they are infantry. Alright, Zalto getting a unique technology. I hope this isn't Farimba. Ugh, crap, it's Farimba. Why is he going into cavalry? I guess maybe because he sees these Arbs. You know what? Never mind, actually, that's smart. If he goes into siege, Hans will just convert the siege. I guess maybe he could build rams, and he could garrison the Gabetos in the rams, and then he could get close, and then the Gabetos could eject and kill the Arbalesters. But that's some pretty rare stuff. You generally don't see that kind of thing. Not even at 13 or 1400. Okay, so this forward castle is going to allow Hans to attack Zalto's castle from the safety of his own. Hans so far has been making better decisions, I think, than Zalto, but it's hard to say because he has a bunch more resources. He dominates the lake. Zalto trying to take a fight here. He does get a couple good hits with ranged siege weapons. I'm assuming that that was an onager, but it's hard to tell. And he's got a cannon here. Cannon firing at the trebuchet. Destroys it, but the trebuchets destroy the cannon at the same time. And Zalto loses his castle. He does have another castle here from which he can continue to make Gabetos. Ooh, he's going into Malian skirms. You never want to see that. Malian skirms are terrible. They're missing Bracer. I would think Jags would do fine. There's actually the AoE2 combat sim we could use to check it out afterward. We'll do that. We'll see. And we'll assume that the opponent has perfect hit and run. We'll look at it. So we got Eagles coming forward. We have Archers behind. Eagles are an effective raiding unit. Maybe if Hans slips around back here, he could be a nightmare if he gets some Eagles in on this wood line. But this map is not really raid friendly. This is an anti-raiding map, which is fine with me. I don't like raiding. Okay, the Eagles are trying to slip around and get a raid in, but these Malian Gabetos catch them with their breeches down, and they take a fight right in front of the monastery, and the Eagles get massacred pretty decisively. Okay, so the castle collapses, and Zalto calls the GG. So it's a play. We're really glad that Zalto is playing in Alchemy League despite not being eligible for prize. It's really fun to watch him in action, and I think with experience, he'll be taking games off of opponents who are 13 or 1400 despite not having very much experience in 1v1s. Let's go take a look at the AoE 2 Combat Simulator. There we go. And let's see. So we're going to say that player 1 is the Aztecs and player 2 is the Malians. And let's just check this up. We'll say that both players are in the Castle Age. Let's toggle the technology visibility. We will assume that the Malians have... Actually, you know what? Let's set the age to Imperial Age, but not post-Imperial Age, so that we're assuming that they have all these Castle Age technologies. Yeah, there we go. All right, and now let's show the inputs. So let's give the Malians some Gabetos. Let's give them like 20 Gabetos. We'll see how much that is. So that's 1,800 total resources. Jags versus Gabetos. Well, let's take a look at Eagles versus Gabetos first. So let's do like 20 Eagles. So we'll do a few more Eagles because that's 1,500 total resources. So maybe like 25 Eagles. 24 Eagles. There we go. So it's 1,800 resources either way. We will assume that the Gabetos have perfect hit and run. And we'll say that resources are equally valuable in Castle Age. Notice that the Eagles are significantly more gold invested. And we'll do 20 simulations. So we'll start. And in every single case, it looks like the Gabetos win with 19.5 survivors. All right, now let's remove... Oops, let's remove Eagles. Show inputs. So we'll set the Eagles equal to 0. And we'll do the Jags instead. So we'll say that there are 20 Jaguar warriors invested and 20 Gabetos. So we'll start that simulation. Perfect hit and run. And it looks like... What? It looks like the Gabetos survive. They win every single time, but their average number of survivors is much lower. So this is with perfect hit and run, though. What if we did medium hit and run? Even with medium hit and run, the Jaguars are much better. So if the Jaguars, well, not much, but survivors 6.5, let's say that they have no hit and run now. The Jaguars win every time with no hit and run. So it looks like it would depend on the skill of the micro to hit and run with the Gabetos behind. Maybe the Jaguars are able to corner the Gabetos against a building or against a woodline, or maybe the player microing them is just not perfect at it. It's not clear, but what is clear is that the Jaguars are a much better option than Gabetos. And of course, archers would require less microing and less trying to corner it. Oh, you didn't know about AoE Combat Sim? Maybe I can put it in a resources channel somewhere. It's a pretty cool site, being able to predict the outcomes of battles and such. So guys, it's time for me to have Sunday lunch or dinner, but I'll be back probably in about an hour, and I'm going to cast one more set from Platinum Division, and I hope that I will see you guys there. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you in a little bit.